needle. The vote could come tonight. Chris, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Republican line. And now we're going to take it live to the House of Representatives, gaveling back in right now.
2715 by the yeas and nays. H.R. 348 by the yeas and nays. H.R. 1933 by the yeas and nays. The first two electronic votes will be conducted as 15-minute votes. Remaining electronic votes will be conducted as a 5-minute vote. The unfinished business is the vote on the motion of the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Bono Mack, to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 2715, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the bill.
H.R. 2715, a bill to provide the Consumer Product Safety Commission with greater authority and discretion in enforcing the consumer product safety laws and for other purposes.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill? Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 15-minute vote.
And so while we watch the House of Representatives vote on this Consumer Product Safety Commission, of course, all attention really focusing on the debt commission, the debt vote, the legislation being put forth. The Senate is the bill that is the vehicle to get this to the House floor. The House Rules Committee already moving it through in a very quick session that met early this afternoon. David Hocking is following all of this as an editor for CQ Roll Call. He's joining us live on the phone. As always, we appreciate your time.
Nice to be with you.
So let me begin with the question of the moment. Does the Speaker of the House have the votes necessary to pass this debt agreement?
I don't think they have said so yet, and I think that they are going to be more cautious about saying that they do have the votes than they were last week. Just it seems like an eternity ago for those of us who've been following this, but it was just last Thursday that the Speaker Boehner and Majority Leader Cantor sort of boasted that they had the votes for the Speaker's own version of this bill, and it turns out that they didn't. So I think this time they're going to play it much more cautiously, in part because this time, unlike that last time, it's both whip teams that are going to need to go to work on this. Clearly the bill, as unveiled last night, the so-called deal that the President and the 4 congressional leaders seem to have agreed to, will not get nearly so many Republican votes as the last one did. The last one lost 22 Republican votes. This one is going to lose significantly more votes than that. And for each vote that that Speaker Boehner loses on this time, he'll have to pick up a Democratic vote. So we're looking at probably about a third of the Democratic caucus having to vote yes, which would allow about 150 out of 240 Republicans to vote yes and the rest to vote no.
We heard from some members of the Democratic caucus after the meeting that took place with Vice President Joe Biden, and you could sense from Congressman Peter DeFazio a real anger over the legislation. We also heard from Representative Sheila Jackson Lee upset that Pell Grants would be impacted by this legislation.
That's true, and Mr. DeFazio and Ms. Jackson Lee undeniably represent sort of the liberal left edge of the Democratic caucus. To be sure, the House Democratic Caucus is more liberal than it was a couple of years ago. There are not nearly as many so-called blue dogs left as there were in the last Congress. It's a pretty liberal group. They will not like it. And as I say, a solid majority of them will vote against this. They feel that this is does essentially nothing for their priorities and hurts their priorities. And there is some just below the surface anger and frustration at the president, who they feel sort of sold them out. But, as I say, it will only take about 1/3 of the Democrats probably to support this for it to pass.
And then on the other side of the aisle, from the Republican standpoint, members of Congress like Jim Jordan of Ohio also saying he's voting against it.
That's right. Mr. Jordan, in the end, was one of the Republicans who was a no. Initially last week to the Speaker's own bill. I believe he ended up coming around and voting yes once the constitutional amendment the constitutional amendment to balance the budget vote was included in the Speaker's own bill on Friday, and now he's against it. There are other conservative groups coming out against this. There are fiscally conservative groups that are encouraging a no vote. So yes, it's going to be close, and it is interesting to me that we're not sure about this yet, but it does seem as though the House is going to be called upon to cast the first vote on this, not the other way around. But maybe you have better information than I do.
Well, that's exactly what we're hearing. We're talking with David Hawkins, by the way, who's keeping track of all of this for CQ Roll Call. He is one of the editors over there. We did expect to hear from Speaker Boehner about 38 minutes ago. He is running behind schedule, and obviously because of the uncertainty over where the votes are in the House of Representatives, that could explain why he has delayed his briefing to reporters. Let's talk about the U.S. Senate. Some of your colleagues on Capitol Hill indicating that Senator McConnell and Senator Reid do have the 60 votes plus necessary to get this bill through the U.S. Senate. Are you hearing the same?
We are hearing the same. The Senate is really not much suspense at all in the Senate. The numbers that we are hearing is that there are at least 35 and maybe as many as 45 of the Democrats, there are a total of 53 on that side, and at least 30 and as many as 35 of the 47 Republicans. So really that suggests a floor of 65 and a ceiling of about 80 votes in favor. So really not very suspenseful. On the Senate side, that floor of 65 would be enough to overcome the only delaying tactic that's available to dissenters at this point, which is a pretty complicated parliamentary maneuver. Essentially, there can be an objection that would require 60 votes to block to the majority leader essentially amending what he's got as the pending business with the text of this new bill. But the majority leader has done sort of an admirable job as a parliamentary tactician, cutting off all of the, almost all but one of the delaying tactics. We understand that Senator Lee of Utah, a freshman member of sort of the Tea Party wing of the Republican Party, is determined to try and delay this as long as possible and does have this one parliamentary maneuver available to him to try and slow things down. A few minutes ago, Senator Kyle, the Republican whip, came out of a meeting and told some reporters that Senator Reid might be a little bit too optimistic in thinking that this could get done today, that the delaying tactics could push this over into tomorrow.
We're not one for using adjectives here at C-SPAN, but it was a rather dramatic moment last week when Speaker Boehner's bill was delayed and then delayed again until it finally passed by a vote of 218, the narrowest of majorities in the House of Representatives. And so I asked that because could we see the potential of this bill going down in the House, and how could you explain to people looking at home saying why this is passing almost overwhelmingly in the Senate but still so difficult in the House of Representatives?
Well, one would initially be tempted to sort of reach for the high school civics textbook and say that the reason it's so much easier to get through the Senate is that 2/3 of the senators are not up for re-election next year. The classic, the cliche is about the House is where the things bubble up, and the Senate is where things go to cool down, the roiling partisanship and the heated tempers of the moment. And that's not untrue. I mean, it is in fact the case that most senators will not have to face the voters no matter how they vote next time. They will not have to face the voters until at least 2014 or 2016, and so they're a little bit more distant from it politically. Whereas, every member of the House is up next year, and including fully one, amazing, we hear that number 87 Republican freshmen, and that sounds like an amazingly large number, and it is, especially when you realize that that is 1 out of every 5 members of the entire House. It's a large block of people. And just a reminder for the viewers that the magic number to be looking for is actually 216 when it comes to a vote, because there are 2 vacancies in the House, and there are 2 other members, one of whom most viewers will remember as Gabrielle Giffords, who were not physically well enough to be in Washington this week. So that essentially reduces the total number of potential votes to 431, and 216 is the barest majority of 431.
So as we speak to you at 2:15 on a Monday afternoon here in Washington, bring our viewers up to date on where everything stands. First in the House of Representatives and then in the U.S. Senate.
Sure. In the House of Representatives, what you see on your screen now is what's known as a bed check vote. This is a minor bill. It's one of a handful of minor, uncontroversial bills that the Republican leadership has agreed to, has arranged to put on the floor this afternoon, essentially to get every member of Congress onto the floor so that they can make eye contact with the whips of both sides. And Mr. Hoyer on the Democratic side and Mr. Cantor on the Republican side and Mr. McCarthy, the whip, are all working assiduously to try and make sure there is probably at least 1/3 of the Democrats can vote yes for this, and about 3 out of 5 of the Republicans in the House side. That's the magic formula that would make 216 to get this debt and deficit deal done. And if that happens, we don't yet know whether that's going to happen before or after the Senate will take this bill up and pass it by a much more comfortable margin.
And again, what's the line, the bed check moment?
It's a bed check vote, which is essentially, it's like when you were in summer camp and the counselors came through and made sure that every bunk was occupied. The whips are now, they want to do a bed check to make sure they can put their eyes on every member of Congress, every member of the House, and ask them what their intentions are when the big vote comes.
And some new information for you. We've been keeping an eye on the House Radio TV gallery, and we just found out that reporters are leaving that gallery. For the moment, there is no briefing by the Speaker of the House, John Boehner. What does that tell you? Well, that
tells you that there are some details to be worked out, or that it's not quite as easy and greased as we might have thought when the day began, or last night when the President came out and seemed to suggest that this was done, that things might not be as easy as the Republican leadership had been hoping. There is still one theory out there that the only way to get this bill passed is to put it on the floor and allow it to fail one time. This is sort of the cynic's theory. That is, the theory is bolstered by what happened 3 years ago now when the financial bailout known as the TARP bill was put on the House floor, and that it took a defeat of that bill the first time it went through the House for the wavering lawmakers who'd voted no the first time to see how the markets reacted. The markets, of course, did a significant, all of the stock indices did a significant plunge after that, and that some of these members were scared by what they saw and then agreed to essentially change their mind with some relatively minor changes. Let me just hasten to say that this is not what anybody in the leadership is saying they want to do, but there is sort of in the off-the-record whispered chats, there are still some on both sides who say a scare tactic like that, a self-induced scare tactic like that, would be the only way to get this bill across. Let it fail one time, see the markets swoon, which they've yet to do. I mean, the markets have stayed remarkably steady through all this. The assumption is that if it were defeated, there would be a big drop in stock prices, and that some members would at that point decide that it was time to change their mind and vote yes. David Hawkins with CQ Roll Call. Thanks very much for being with us live here in Washington. We can continue to watch the vote in the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, the Democratic House Caucus has also wrapped up. We've been watching members leaving
from the Visitors Gallery on Capitol Hill, the Visitors Center, where the meeting was taking place. Vice President Joe Biden meeting with them, trying to sell this proposal to members of his own Democratic Party. And that's a live view camera that you're watching in the corner box. And on the bottom, the vote, as David Hawkins referred to it, as a bed check vote, essentially to make sure that House members are on the floor and ready to move ahead with this debt agreement. We'll watch the proceedings live here on C-SPAN television.
Vote, the yeas are 421, the nays are 2, recorded as present. Two-thirds being in affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion considered is laid on the table. The unfinished business is a vote on the motion of the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Smith, to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 398, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Union Calendar Number 89, H.R. 398, a bill to amend the Immigration and Nationality Act to toll during active duty service abroad in the armed forces the periods of time to file a petition and appear for an interview to remove the conditional basis for permanent resident status and for other purposes.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill? Members will record their votes by electronic devices. A 15-minute vote.
While that vote takes place, let's go live to Capitol Hill. Vice President Joe Biden briefing reporters right now.
The President made that clear in his State of the Union message. But the truth of the matter is, there are sort of assorted Damocles hanging over everyone's head. This is the debt limit. And it was, I don't want to use pejorative terms, it was used as the means by which, unless certain compromises were made, we would default on our debt. Now, the reason why it's so important that this bargain that has been negotiated with the Republicans by the President, the reason why it's so important that it passed, it has one overwhelming redeeming feature. It says that this debt limit issue cannot come up again until 2013. Now, the reason for that has nothing to do with elections. It has to do with now, from the moment this passes, if it passes, and is signed into law, we will be talking about nothing from then but about jobs. But if I had stood before all of you 2 weeks ago, and I said, I have a job plan on behalf of the administration, would any of you have written about it? None of you would have said, what about, well, legitimately, what about the debt ceiling? What about the committee? And so we have to get this out of the way to get to the issue of growing the economy. And the other thing that we've done here is that this bargain does not prevent us from being able to continue to fund those initiatives within our budget that are the job creators: infrastructure, innovation, and education. Now, and the normal processes will now go forward in terms of the appropriations committees and the debates within the Congress, within the House and Senate, as to whether or not we can win those debates and convince people that our initiatives should be passed. There's what I've been dealing with economists and budgeteers for so long, I was about to use the word headroom. There is room within the budget. There's room within the budget to fund those priorities. But it's going to be, what it ordinarily would be, a normal political battle, rather than sitting there and saying, by the way, if you don't do this, we're going to let the economy, the United States default. We're going to see interest rates climb 5% or more. We're likely to head to a double-dip recession. That now is behind us if this passes. Thank you all very, very much. I appreciate it.
Brief comments by Vice President Joe Biden as he leaves the Democratic caucus, meeting with members of the House of Representatives. Earlier, he met with Senate Democrats. You can see members of the Vice President's entourage, Secret Service, and also some additional members of the House of Representatives leaving. This taking place at the Visitors Gallery on Capitol Hill, and additional members leaving as well. There is, of course, the question is whether or not the House of Representatives will pass this bill. Although, according to the Hill newspaper, it is likely to move across the finish line by early or mid-evening tonight. The debate will begin late afternoon in the House of Representatives and then move to the U.S. Senate. We're going to continue to watch what's happening on the floor of the House of Representatives, the suspension of the rules and voting on a number of measures, including extending the deadline for a military to file immigration requests. But earlier at the White House, Press Secretary Jay Carney also briefing reporters on the latest events.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the White House. You may have noticed, if you look outside, that the cloud of uncertainty has been lifted over our economy, or almost anyway. We hope so. I do not have any opening announcements, so I will go straight to your questions. Julie.
Thank you. Can you give us any update on how the President is spending his time today in terms of trying to rally support for this deal? Is he making calls to lawmakers? Does he have any meetings planned?
I don't have any scheduling updates for the President. As you know, the Vice President is headed to Capitol Hill and is meeting with the Senate and the House Democratic caucuses to talk about the deal with them and to answer their questions. So I think that's part of the process that you talk about. I don't have anything specific about the President.
Will the President do nothing today to try to
Well, no, I didn't say that. I said I don't have any scheduling updates for you or any phone calls or meetings or conversations to read out to you. He's obviously been thoroughly engaged in this process all along through the weekend. You saw him here last night in the briefing room, and will continue to be engaged. And you should not take from my answer that he is not speaking to lawmakers, simply that I don't have any specific conversations to read out to you.
Can you tell us what message the Vice President is taking to the Hill today, particularly for liberal Democrats who are saying this morning that the President gave up too much in this agreement?
He will carry the message that the deal negotiated with leaders of Congress is a victory for the American people. Let's start with point number one. The debate in this room and elsewhere in Washington in the past week was, would we continue for the next few months, leading up to the Christmas season, have the uncertainty caused by a decision to relitigate the whole issue of raising the debt ceiling? Would that uncertainty be continued? And would that be part of any agreement? The requirement that we would vote again to raise the debt ceiling within 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 months. The President was adamantly opposed to that, precisely because it would have such a negative impact on the economy, and that will not be part of this agreement. It is not part of this agreement. This agreement ensures that the debt ceiling will be extended through 2012, removing that cloud of uncertainty from the economy. Second of all, the agreement ensures that there is an initial round of spending cuts that protect vital investments, that will ensure that the economy can continue to grow, protect vital things like Pell Grants that are a high priority for the President, and significantly ensure that there is a firewall in the discretionary spending cuts between defense and non-defense spending, which again is a kind of protection we haven't seen in a long time that is essential to making this a fair and balanced deal. Then there is a committee set up, a special committee, as you know, by the legislation that will be bicameral and bipartisan with equal representation between Republicans and Democrats. And that committee will be charged with finding ways to ensure, finding ways to reduce the deficit even further, $1.5 trillion further. And everything is on the table for that committee, everything including both entitlement reform and tax reform. And let's be clear, the President thinks, as you know, that the biggest possible overall accomplishment in terms of deficit reduction is a desirable goal, as long as it's balanced. And he looks forward to, through the process set up by that committee, to having that debate about what our priorities are. If we need to, as legislated through this deal, find another $1.2 to $1.5 trillion in deficit cuts, how are we going to do that? Are we going to do it by asking sacrifice only of middle-class Americans or seniors, parents of children who are disabled, or are we going to ask that others, including oil and gas companies, corporate jet manufacturers, or the wealthiest Americans share in the sacrifice? I think that is, again, a debate he's looking forward to.
But why should Democrats be confident that you'll be able to get those commitments in this special committee if you weren't able to get them up front?
Well, we came very close, as you know, to achieving a grand bargain with the Speaker of the House. And let's be clear, belatedly it was conceded that in that agreement that was negotiated very painstakingly between the Speaker of the House and the President of the United States, revenue was on the table, and I quote the Speaker in that, including $800 billion as a minimum of revenue So that was envisioned by the Speaker as part of a grand bargain, had that been achieved. Secondly, we saw close to 20 Republican senators endorse the ideas behind the Gang of Six proposal, which included not just revenue, but $2 trillion in revenue. Okay, so I think there is an enormous potential here for those who work on this committee and those who then consider it with their votes to see that the best possible way to achieve significant further deficit reduction beyond the initial $1 trillion is through a balanced approach. And as you know, the legislation has within it an enforcement mechanism, a trigger, and the metaphor is apt because the trigger, well-designed triggers create a huge incentive for Congress not to pull them. And that is the case here, where those cuts that would be mandated if Congress failed to act, if the committee failed or Congress failed to pass the committee's product, would be across-the-board cuts split evenly between defense and domestic spending, including entitlements, although I will note that Social Security, Medicaid, and beneficiaries in Medicare would be excluded from any harm. And again, but these are the whole point of the trigger is that nobody wants to do them, and that it's equally onerous for both sides. And that, again, creates greater potential for the committee's action to bear fruit.
And finally, if we could look at the big picture, you know, this debate was so contentious and it was so partisan. What can the American people realistically expect Washington to be able to do, particularly on jobs, between now and the election?
That's an excellent question, and there is no doubt that the process we have seen in the past several weeks and months was kind of a mess. And the President made clear a week ago today, when he spoke to the nation from the residents, that while Americans voted clearly last November, November 2010, for divided government, they certainly did not vote for or choose dysfunctional government. And in fact, they expect when they have divided government, when they have one party controlling some parts of the government, another party controlling others, that they will work together and together find the kind of that is balanced, that is more representative of where the American people want to go. Now, this was a mess. There is no question. It was a circus at times. We unnecessarily sent the message around the country and the globe that the United States might, in fact, default on its obligations for the first time in its history. But in the end, compromise won out, and an agreement that we believe strongly is in the interest of the American people was achieved. So looking forward, we hope to be able to build on that. None of this is easy because all the issues are hard, but you do begin to build more capacity for compromise in the future the more you get under your belt. We certainly hope that to be the case because we will not stop. This is assuming, as we do and hope, that the Congress will pass it and the President then signs it. We then move on to the work of the committee and to all the other initiatives that we need to get going that will help create jobs and drive the economy. And we believe fundamentally that there is broad consensus in Washington that we need to focus on growth and job creation. Thanks.
vote. The yeas are 426, the nays are 0. Two-thirds being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion is considered as laid on the table. The unfinished business is a vote on the motion of the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Smith, to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1933 as amended, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Union Calendar number 99, H.R. 1933, a bill to amend the Immigration and Nationality Act to modify the requirements for admission of non-immigrant nurses in health professional shortage areas.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill as amended? Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote.
So a 5-minute vote and a third of 3 votes before what we expect will be the debate that will get underway over the debt ceiling. We did expect to hear earlier from Speaker of the House John Boehner. His briefing was postponed. It was scheduled to get underway at 1:30 Eastern Time. But just a short while ago, after meeting with Senate Democrats and then House Democrats, Vice President Joe Biden had this to say to reporters on Capitol Hill. We'll hear his remarks as we watch the proceedings live on the House floor. And we apologize, there are some audio difficulties with the remarks of Vice President Joe Biden, but to paraphrase what he said as we monitored one of the stories from the Hill newspaper, he did brief reporters, did indicate that there was frustration with members of the House Democratic Caucus, in part because of the lateness of the debate, also with the substance of the debate, but now the focus on the House of Representatives. Following this vote, if all goes as planned, we expect to begin debate on this debt ceiling agreement that the President announced last night. Once it passes the House of Representatives, if in fact it does pass the House, it will then go to the U.S. Senate. Senator Reid indicating that he will determine the Senate vote either later tonight or tomorrow based on the outcome in the House of Representatives. We'll continue to watch the vote on this immigration visa for nurses live here on C-SPAN. And a reminder, if you want to read the bill, it's available online at cspan.org.
On this vote, the yeas are 404.
Ms. Sewell. Ms. Sewell votes aye. Ms. Eddie Bernice Johnson of Texas. Ms. Eddie Bernice Johnson of Texas votes aye. Ms. Wilson of California. Ms. Wilson of Florida. Ms. Wilson of Florida votes aye.
On this vote, the yeas are 407, the nays are 17, recorded as present. Two-thirds being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion is considered to be laid on the table.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California rise?
Speaker? I rise to ask that the House be in order.
House will be in order. For what purpose does the gentleman from California rise?
Speaker, I send to the desk a privilege report from the Committee on Rules for filing under the rule.
The clerk will report the title.
Report to accompany House Resolution 384, resolution providing for consideration of the bill, Senate 365, to make a technical amendment to the Education Sciences Reform Act of 2002.
Refer to the House calendar and ordered printed. For what purpose does the gentleman from California rise?
Once again, Mr. Speaker, the House is not in order.
The gentleman's correct. The House will be in order. Members are asked to take their conversations off the floor. The House will be in order. Gentleman from California.
Mr. Speaker, I call up House Resolution 384 and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Calendar Number 65, House Resolution 384, resolved that upon the adoption of this resolution, it shall be in order to consider in the House the bill, Senate 365, to make a technical amendment to the Education Sciences Reform Act of 2002. All points of order against consideration of the bill are waived. The amendment in the nature of a substitute printed in the report of the Committee on Rules accompanying this resolution shall be considered as adopted. The bill as amended shall be considered as read.
Don't worry, it won't melt.
All points of order against provisions in the bill as amended are waived. The previous question shall be considered as ordered on the bill as amended to final passage without intervening motion except one. 1 hour of debate with 30 minutes equally divided and controlled by the Chair and Ranking Minority Member of the Committee on Rules. 15 minutes equally divided and controlled by the Chair and Ranking Minority Member of the Committee on Ways and Means, and 15 minutes equally divided and controlled by the Chair and Ranking Minority Member of the Committee on the Budget. And 2, 1 motion to recommit with or without instructions.
The gentleman from California is recognized for 1 hour, but the gentleman will suspend. The House will be in order. I ask members on the minority side to take your conversations to the rear. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you
for 1
very
hour.
much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the purposes of debate only, I yield the customary 30 minutes to my very good friend, the gentlewoman from Rochester, New York, Ms. Slaughter, the ranking minority member of the Committee on Rules, pending which I yield myself such time as I might consume and ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Gentleman is recognized for as much time as he may consume. Without objection, so ordered.
All time that I'll be yielding, Mr. Speaker, will be for debate purposes only, and I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks on this resolution.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Speaker, after months and months of debate, we've arrived at the ultimate goal to which we are all committed, a bipartisan agreement to avert the debt ceiling crisis looming right before us. Even more important, we've crafted a plan that addresses the real underlying challenge of our ballooning national debt. The bipartisan agreement before us today is an historic achievement. Mr. Speaker, this is the 76th time that we have raised the debt ceiling since 1962. 75 times it's been raised. This is the 76th time. But, Mr. Speaker, it's the very first time that we have done so while making corresponding cuts in spending that exceed the ceiling increase. To most of us, this is just good common sense. It's the only responsible thing to do, and yet 75 times before, no connection was made between the debt ceiling and efforts to tackle our debt. With today's underlying legislation, we are fundamentally changing the way business is done here in Washington. We're setting a new precedent for fiscal discipline and accountability. This is a tremendous achievement that will have a profound and lasting impact on our budget and our economy in both all the short, medium, and long term. This is an especially critical point to focus on. Today's legislation has dramatic implications for both the budget and our economy. Mr. Speaker, as you know very well, the two are inextricably linked. This is why our fiscal situation is so important. We don't need a balanced budget for the sake of a balanced budget. We need to balance our budget because job creation and economic growth depend on it. There's a reason why the major credit agencies have said that our AAA credit rating is in jeopardy if we don't dramatically cut spending. Multi-trillion-dollar deficits and a national debt that approaches 100% of GDP are not sustainable. Democrats and Republicans alike recognize that. If we want to inspire confidence in the U.S. economy, create jobs, and restore our position as the world's most vital and dynamic economy, we absolutely must chart a new fiscal course. The bipartisan agreement that we will consider today does just that. It makes meaningful, immediate spending cuts. It sets up a process that guarantees votes in both chambers by Thanksgiving on an even bigger package. This will give us the time necessary to go beyond cuts to significant new reforms. That includes reforming entitlement programs to keep them solvent and ensure that they don't force us back onto a path of spiraling deficits and debt. Mr. Speaker, by setting up this process, we can responsibly make the hard but essential choices that will restore our economy and unleash its power to create new opportunities for Americans. The underlying legislation will also impose additional automatic cuts should Congress fail to continue on the path to real reform. Mr. Speaker, we are all in this together, Democrat and Republican alike. We all stand to suffer tremendously if we fail to either raise the debt ceiling or take this opportunity to fundamentally change course. We will all suffer if we fail to continue the process of meaningful reform. But by coming together and enacting real reform, by remaining committed to this joint effort into the future, we can all share in the benefits of a surging economy and job market. We can't approach a challenge of this magnitude as Republicans and Democrats first, but as fellow Americans who share a commitment to our prosperity as a nation now and into the future. Mr. Speaker, today we have the opportunity I urge my colleagues to support this rule and the underlying legislation, and with that I reserve the balance of my time.